Hi Anne, thanks for joining. Just going to wait a couple of minutes just to let some other people join. Can you hear me okay, Anne? Afternoon, Roger. Thank you very much for confirming that. Afternoon everyone, I'm just going to give everybody else just a minute to join and then we'll start. Okay, well I think we'll just start, and please feel free to ask any questions whenever you want. Hope to take a fairly relaxed view to do this. This is our second time of broadcasting. My name's Jo, and I'm married to Andrew, and we have Logie Farm at Newborough, which is just located on the River Tay, in all honesty equally between Perth and Dundee. We're in the north coast of Fife, and we've been here this December, it'll be 5 years. Before that, my husband was a 5th generation farmer up in Caithness, and so this farm is around 500 acres. Hi Eileen, hi Carol. This farm is around 500 acres, of which we have a mixed enterprise, around 300 to 350 acres of arable, which includes veg. And the rest is predominantly grass for sheep. We have about 500 breeding ewes, and I'm going to take you around the shed just now to have a look. As I said, if anybody has any questions, please do let me know. So I'm just going to turn the camera just now. And as you can see at the moment, we're in probably one of our main sheds. We bring the flock in to lamb indoors, predominantly because it's a safer way for us to lamb, for us to be able to keep an eye on everything, make sure that mum and lamb are well and there's no problems, and then they go out to grass. They'll spend the majority, if not all, of the rest of their life out at grass. So I just thought it would be helpful to take you from an elevated point around the shed, first of all, before we go down a level. So at the moment, the sheep that you can see in front of me, this is our commercial flock, or part of our commercial flock. And the ewes here, you can see they're quite content. It's lunchtime just now, and my husband and his helpers are all in for lunch just now. So everyone is quite settled. The sheep have been in quite a few weeks now, getting ready for lambing, so they're quite used to people going about. They're getting more and more quiet as the weeks go on. So I don't expect them to be running about. They're also very heavily pregnant as well. So this pen that you can see in front of me, you can see it's quite a big pen. It extends just up to that top barrier there. All those ewes in there have 2 or 3 lambs inside of them. Now we know that because we get them scanned in January, and we then mark them accordingly so that we know which, if there's 2, there's no orange spot on them. If there's 3, you'll see there's an orange spot on the back, their tail end, or their tail top, should I say. We don't have many triplets this year. We've got an even mix, really, of singles and twins, we call them. So the feeding requirements for mothers expecting twins or multiples will be different from those with singles. Now, I'll just take you just across the passageway here. Again, it's quite handy sometimes seeing things from above. These ewes here are all carrying one lamb only. So as the weeks go on, we know the lamb will be growing and growing. We monitor their feeding quite rigorously with these sheep, because the last thing we want is a massive, big lambs, which are difficult births for the ewes, particularly if they are a first-time mum. You can see everyone's quite settled into here just now. just go up here. So I think what we'll do is we'll go down into the lambing pens. There's one or two, I think, thinking about lambing this afternoon. No doubt they will hold on until later on, but obviously I'm hopeful that we can get something for you. You can see there's a ewe just right up at the back there, just there. She's been a bit restless. You can see her behaviour's slightly different from the rest. She's quite heavily pregnant, but just standing at the back, starting to sniff the ground. If she's going to lamb, she'll start pawing the ground, maybe licking her lips, rolling up her top lip. And you can tell that when they're lambing, their behaviour becomes quite different from the other sheep, which, as you can see, are quite peaceable. So you can see here, everybody's quite relaxed. I'll take you down into the singles in just a second. There's a sheep there who you might recall when we did Lambathon last year, Susie. She's probably one of our oldest sheep. She's our family pet, in all honesty. There she is there. She's exceedingly, well, generally very tame. Hello. And she's having a lamb this year. I don't think she'll ever leave here. She'll eventually, no doubt. This is probably her last year for having a lamb. But yeah, she's great, and she keeps the young sheep quiet. She's not frightened of us. Right, let's get down into the lambing shed and have a look at some lambs. So we're just coming down here. You can just see there, just in the background, just before I go into this shed, that's the River Tay there. We look directly over into Errol, and then you can see the Perthshire Hills. Over to the right is Dundee, and the mouth of the River Tay widens into the North Sea. And then to your left, if you continue to go up, you come to Perthshire. So this top pen here, which backs onto the larger pen of sheep with twins, this is another pen of ewes with a single lamb in them. So again, we keep them separate to know that, and equally to monitor what we're feeding them. You can see there an orange dot up at their shoulder. That was when they were scanned in January time. They were scanned with a single in them. And again, that helps us. We've got all our flock as well. You can see there a blue O. We use that to mark the sheep so that should they ever escape at a field or maybe go somewhere else, we would know that's our sheep. The O relates back to our previous farm, which was Alrig. We have quite old irons that you dip them in a marker. It's completely painless, and that's a way of us knowing that's our sheep. The pedigree North Country Cheviots that I'll show you in a minute, they have a blue heart in the same place. Now, so once they use lamb, what we move them into what I think of as a maternity ward. They get that time completely alone with their mother, to form a bond, and it allows us an opportunity just to check that the lamb is able to feed well, mother's got enough milk, there's no problems with mum in terms of feeling maybe a bit sickly after the birth. And it just allows them that opportunity before they go into a group setting in the field to form that bond, so that when mum calls lamb or lamb calls for mum, they will know each other's call out of what potentially could be a group of 30 to 40, maybe 50 mothers with lambs. You can see there, that's a good strong lamb. That lamb was born this morning. That sheep there, we took to the Highland show, I think it was 2 years ago for the commercial class. She did well. She's a lovely put together sheep, great mum, and that's really what we want. I'll just try and take you in here so you have a look. So you can see there that lamb is, I'll try and get a better angle. And the lamb lambs usually get the hang of it quite well, quite quickly. It's obviously a natural instinct to be able to get up on your feet and feed off your mum if they're going to survive, particularly if they're born outside. We'll move down. You can see again this guy looks very comfy. Oh, sorry, have I woken you up? Now, the bulk of our commercial flock would be North Country Cheviot mothers, with the Suffolk or the Texel. We've got some Aberfelds as well, or the Beltecs crossed onto them. You can see the one next door is a Beltex lamb as well. They've got great shape to them, great bodies, and crossed with the mothers we feel it works well with us. You can see here that as soon as they're strong enough after birth, this lamb's given me a good example, we band their tails. So that's a requirement, and it's a welfare requirement because their tails actually grow very, very long, and particularly in the summers we find here, the blue bottles can lay eggs on the wool of the sheep, which can cause all kinds of welfare issues to do. So by banding the tails, it stops the tails getting too long, and we have them obviously long enough that they cover all of their bottoms. They don't feel it, and that excess tail will eventually just fall off. And you can see here's a mother with twin lambs, good strong lambs. Now you can see that we have numbers in different colours, and some of you may be wondering why we do this. We have them numbered to obviously match their mother. So for example, if they're a number, we know that there's 2 lambs going to be with that mother. If it's a letter in the alphabet, it's 1. So instantly, if we're in the field and we see a number and we see why is there only 1 lamb with that mother, we can go and look for it or see what's happened. It's a quick and easy way for us to be able to make sure everything's in order. Ideally, what you want is them going out to the field and the lambs staying nearby their mothers. Now you can see here, sheep are very, very relaxed. It's a lovely afternoon actually. You see here, this sheep gave birth this morning, just a couple of hours ago, and you can see there's quite a mess there on our back end. That's nothing to be concerned about. That's just simply, we call them the cleans. That's just the afterbirth coming naturally out of mum, and that's normally, that will likely all be gone by dinner time. It's quite often, it's not unusual, we often see the sheep will actually eat it, their placenta and afterbirth. And again, it must be something to do with the lunchtime vibe here. Everybody's relaxed and asleep. So as I said, if anybody has any questions, please do ask. Now we also have a traffic light system. You'll see markings on the top end of their tail, their bottoms. So you can see there that sheep has got a green mark compared to that one with an orange mark. So essentially, when we scan them and when we put them to the tup, every week that they're with the tup, we change what's called the crayon on the tup. So between their front legs, we mark them with an oil-based paste. And when they mount the sheep, they leave that colour on the ewe's top of her tail. So we know the green was the first week that the tups went out. So that sheep there is overdue. The second colour is amber or orange. So we know we're now getting into the amber colours. Our tups went to work very quickly this year. So we are just under halfway through our lambing in less than 7 days. So that is why we all look a wee bit tired at the moment. But yeah, you can see there, I mean, orange, and then the third week where the top was a red mark. So we know we're getting through the greens. So if we see anything, for example, we saw a green one up there, if that doesn't do anything soon, it would make us question, does she still have a lamb inside of her? It's something that does happen, as it does with all mammals, and it would make us question that. But again, with Mother Nature, it's really just, you know, they come when they're ready. Now, I think we'll go round to the other pen that I showed you before, which Susie was in. We'll have a quick look. We'll go and do that, and then I think we'll nip up and see what we call the pet lambs, which is essentially the orphan lambs. So there's many reasons that they might be orphaned. Normally, the main two would probably be that there's something happens with mum, in that mum may not have any milk, which obviously the lamb's not going to survive if mum doesn't have any milk. And equally, so I'm distracted because there's a lamb in the passageway, and and as you might expect, it shouldn't be there. It should be with his mum. It quite often happens because what they do is they have a nice snooze in the straw, and then they're still small enough they can squeeze under the bars. So he's not doing any harm just now. I'll get him in a second. This is where I try and chase after the lamb and it runs off, and no doubt trip. So I'm thinking this is his mum here. Hello. Oh. So we've caught him. I'll just try and... Caught him. There he is. So he's a lovely lamb. I would think that his dad was a North Country Cheviot, just by the look of him. Longer ears, well put together, great conformation. Hey, just having a time away from your mum? Yeah, so he should be with his mum, and you can hear his mum there calling. She was obviously quite settled that he was just outside the pen, but I'm going to pop him back in just now. There you go. There we go. Okay, and you can see what I was saying before about the alphabet system we have. So again, when they're out in the field, we know that Yow F will only have one lamb, and they obviously correspond in colour as well. There we go. So this is our singles pen, and yeah, obviously it's relatively unusual to have the sheep running right up to you. I always bring Susie a treat. Yes, you're a good girl. And Susie will be likely towards the end of lambing. She was taught later. I think she's red. I think she was in the third week. It could be orange. I realised the other day that what I think is purple and blue isn't what other people think. So, so yeah, as you can see, these sheep, they're quite laid back, but we are monitoring them, particularly towards the end of lambing. But Susie's looking well. Thank you. Okay, so as I said, if anybody has any questions, please do just ask. We've got 10 minutes left, so I think what we'll do is we'll just go over to the pet lambs just now, and we'll see them, and then we'll nip in to see the North Country Cheviots and the Swiss Valley Blacknose. Just going to nip outside. We're going to go into another shed. This shed is one of the oldest sheds on the farm. I'll just turn the camera around. So you can see, it's traditional. I would expect that in the olden days, this part was the stables at the farm, because obviously there wasn't machinery originally. Just nipping here because I forgot that I promised you to see the pets. So as I said, these are orphan lambs. The main reason is mum maybe has no milk, or sometimes mum rejects them. Sometimes what it is mum just doesn't have enough to have 2 lambs or 3 lambs on her, so it's better to have mum just with 1 and be able to bring that up well. Hello. Now these lambs obviously, hello, are a bit different because they're very used to human contact, and we've had some fantastic lambing vet students from Belgium through the Ghent Lambing project this year. Hello, come. And they've been amazing with them, but the result is that they are all very petted. This little guy was just born this morning. He was part of, he was one of triplets, and obviously he was the smallest, and he just wasn't coping so well compared to the other 2. We knew that mum wouldn't have enough milk for 3, so the kinder thing to do is take him off, and we can feed him here. And then the intention is to get them all a new mum, and by that there may be a ewe that loses a lamb during birth, but it's plenty of milk and really wants a lamb. You may also get, so there's somebody in my armpit, you may also get, hello, you may also get some, you look at it. You may also get some ewes that have plenty of milk, loads of milk, way more than a single lamb would need, so you can sometimes pay the second one on, and it generally works really well. Hello. Now there's one that's been here since the start of lambing that are children. I think this is the guy up the back. You can see here as well, obviously because they've not got mum to keep them warm, what we do is we have them in a clean pen, and you can just see under here is a heat lamp. So they've got that, so they all congregate around this area usually. And then now that we've got more than 1 or 2, we have what's called a shepherdess out, which is essentially just a far quicker way of feeding than making up bottles for all these lambs multiple times a day and night. So essentially it mimics, is a lot more natural. They can go to that whenever they want. Hello. They can go to that whenever they want and feed as if they were feeding off mum. There's a heater inside so the milk stays warm, and we just fill it up as and when required. Obviously the bigger they get, the quicker it goes. Now, this lamb was the first lamb in here, and he hasn't found a mother yet, but my children appear to have adopted him, and he's called Mr. Nibbles, according to them. So you can see they've marked a little rainbow on him. So I've got no doubt he will get a mother at some point. Now, I'll just show you, because so I'm just going to turn this round a second. You can tell when the lambs are doing well for a number of reasons, but whether on mum or in here, I'm just going to pick him up a second. You can see he's got a very, very full tummy, which is good. You can see round, just pinching either side. I mean, it's plain to see that he's thriving, and I've got no doubt he will do great when he gets a mum. So yeah, it's lovely to come in this pen, just getting that time with the lambs, and I think they do quite enjoy company too. So I'll try and escape out here without them all following me. No. Oh, sorry. There we go. There we go. Just close it up. Now we'll just nip over. To these sheds. There's Gary. Gary's part of the family, comes down every lambing, and he's helped us for a number of years now, since he was a young boy. We would be lost without him. So right here, this is the start of the shed, is where we keep some of our tups over the winter. You can see here is some of the Valley Blacknose just now. They're generally pretty laid back. Now you can see that the yow directly in front of us, she has her lamb at foot. That lamb was born, I think it was the start of March this year. So you can see the Valley Blacknose tend to come out very tall and what I call quite leggy, in that they're not thick set like some of the other breeds, but they get on their feet quick and they grow very fast. And then there you can see there's our tup. So our boy's in there just now. And you can just, their breed is naturally quiet. Now you'll see a difference. I'm just going to walk up to the North Country Chivets. This is our pedigree flock. Yeah, I realise a lot of people do like the Valley Black Nose, so I'm sorry I'm removing the camera. Yeah, we'll just nip up to the North Country Cheviots here. So you can see they are naturally what I call a bit sharper. They're more wary. They're a natural, a very traditional and older breed, traditional breed of sheep. And they're well suited to the land here at Logie in that we have the flat fields down the front that go towards the River Tay, but equally behind us we have a lot of hill ground which they thrive on. To be honest, they like being outside. They don't really like being in here, but it is safer just to make sure everyone's paired up. So again, we have them separated out. This is our pen full of twins and triplets. And this is our singles pen. So we're getting through them. It's a much older barn, as you can see. I believe there used to be a water wheel at the end there, but it's I would think that ewe there, she's you can see that her back is humped and she just looks just a little bit more unsettled compared to some. So she will likely lamb in due course. Now, so we very much keep the North Country Cheviots separate from the commercial flock. You can see here some lovely big lambs. The North Country Cheviot are very maternal. They're great mums. We rarely have a problem with them in terms of rejection or not having milk. They're a fantastic breed, and a breed that certainly my husband and his dad Ian are very passionate about. Yeah, they're just traditionally great. Now, these two, try not to wake them up, you can see they're look exceedingly happy behind mum. And you can see there just on that yow, you can see, I realise it's not picture perfect, but 19 and there's a heart, a blue heart. So that's just an easy way of when they're all out in the field, if you're far away, you can see that's the Cheviots. You can see those lambs look very, very cosy with mum. I'm surprised that our collie dogs have managed to keep so quiet during this. So I am sorry that we've not had any live lambings today for you to see. It's always the way. You can see there's two lambs. I would say they were born. They've not had their tail banded yet, so I'm thinking they've been born in the last few hours. You can see the mothers are very maternal. That lamb there just made one little noise and she was straight round. Now, when I've got about 2 minutes left, I thought the last thing I was going to show you was, obviously they are in the pens, the little pens, whether they're the North Country Cheviot pens or the commercial flock pens, for normally at least 12 hours, if not 24. Particularly the singles then will go straight out to grass. That's the yows with one lamb. Any yows with 2 or more lambs, we put them up into a separate pen. So it's more like a communal pen, so that they get used to it. It's a second stage of they bonded with their mother, and then it's a trial for them to be able to get their lamb and find their lamb, look after the lamb in a group setting. So we have a little barn up here. Just going to show you quickly. And this just allows, like I said, an opportunity for mum and lamb, or lambs, to be able to work with other lambs and mums about them. Now you can see there's a good example. There's obviously 5 ewes in this pen. You can see that mother's got her 2 lambs just here together. That mum's there's got her 2 lambs. I'm not saying it always goes like that, definitely not. But this lets us identify any issues. Trust me, it's a lot easier as well than them going out to the field and trying to catch a sheep in what could be a 20, 30, 40 acre field. It's a lot easier to try and get the problem here and sort it. Maybe they just need a bit extra time. We occasionally have to take mum and lambs back away from the flock again and let them have another day or 2 just on their own to reconnect. You can You see here again, here's some more. When we don't put them in huge groups, probably no more than 4 or 5, but just enough to give them that time. And you can see that's great, that ewe there, she's got her lambs. So I think that's about time up now. If anybody has any questions at all, please do message the page and do ask. We have tomorrow that you are in for a treat. The Lambathon tour tomorrow is at Fern Farm, and I think Fiona and John will be showing you around. So that will be great. They have a fantastic sheep enterprise there, so it'll be really enjoyable, I'm sure. Also, if you've enjoyed this, you might want to click on to the Go Rural page and like the page, find out a bit more. Thank you very much for the nice kind words I'm seeing on the comments bars just now. And as I said, even if you have any questions, you'll find us on Facebook at Logie Farm, Newborough is our page. Equally, we've got holiday accommodation here, luxury holiday accommodation that sleeps 2 with hot tubs. You'll find that on the Snug at Logie Farm. And yeah, generally happy to help. We're going to be trying some in-person lambing tours starting off on Saturday this week. We're just going to open the bookings tonight. We're going to do them all over the Easter weekend and Monday. So if anybody's keen to come and see any of the sheep in person and meet Susie and Mr. Nibbles, please do book. And yeah, thank you very much for your time and for tuning in. Thank you, bye.